Our next speaker is a longtime luminary of the longevity field, Didier Coeurnelle. He is a Belgian jurist, published author, a founder of HEALS, the Healthy Life Extension Society, and a board member of the International Longevity Alliance and Humanity Plus. I'm sure you've heard him speak before in similar conferences. He is talking to us today on the subject of how to use health, big data, and artificial intelligence to accelerate longevity research and progress. Didier?
Hello. So, is this working at the moment? Yeah? No? Okay. So, yes, today I will speak about how to use health, big data, and artificial intelligence to accelerate longevity research. And first, let's begin with a few facts about longevity, and the most important one is this one. Sadly, today, like every day, about 110,000 people will die of diseases related to old age, and it's everywhere in the world. In a country like the US or Belgium, it's about 90%. In the world, about 70%, but even in the poorest countries, it's more than 50%. Yeah. We all die, or most of us will die of old age if nothing changes. There are three main causes: cardiovascular diseases, cancers, neurodegenerative diseases. For cardiovascular diseases, we progress faster, for cancers, less fast, and for neurodegenerative diseases, even less. But the elephant in the room is the fact that actually, when we die of infectious diseases, when we fall even for car accidents, it's accelerated very fast by age. And now we all know that, of course, about COVID-19, but it's the same for flu, tuberculosis, and other infectious diseases. Also, another sad, let's say, aspect is that we progress concerning average lifespan, but we almost don't progress concerning the maximal lifespan. So Jeanne Calment, she died when she was 122 years old. That's already about 25 years ago. And 2,000 years ago, the first woman who was older than 100, she died, Terencia, the widow of Cicero, when she was 104 years, a few years after the birth of Jesus Christ, if a real person. The oldest person today in the world is 118, and the oldest man in the world, guess, he's a Spanish guy, and he's 112. So, like I said, no real progression for Alzheimer, but we think that it's very probably possible to find a treatment against aging within 15 to 30 years, if it is a priority, if there are big projects, but it would be complicated, expensive, and it will not work without big data and also without artificial intelligence. Well, both go together. Big data and health. Where is the information? Actually, in three main places. Scientific literature. I will not speak about this today, except to say that there is no artificial intelligence working very good at the moment to analyze scientific literature on health data, and that IBM Watson, probably the most performing program for this, was and still is not working very good. A lot of health data is in your smartphone, by the tech giants, social networks, and so on. And of course, the biggest part is going in the files of your medical doctor, in the hospitals, health sector, social security sector, and so on. Today, it's estimated roughly that 30% of data is health data. I mean, digital data, of course, is 30% of digital data is health data. There are in the world about 400,000 healthcare apps in the App Store. So you probably know about these two. Well, certainly know about these two. But there are so many others. But there is zero public space where you can share health data for all, and especially for science. I will come back to this. So why is health data not working so good at the moment? Well, because of the problem of what's sometimes called trash in, trash out. You need data with veracity, you need very good data, and when you put just only a little bit of bad data, it's corrupting everything else. There are many problems related to the fact that there are many commercial companies, and each company has her own software, and they are not easy to combine. There's the problems around privacy. You have the choice between anonymization, this is better for privacy, and pseudonymization, this is better for sharing data, but privacy is not complete. And also that negative results are very, very often not available. I will say a few things about, but only about big data in Europe, otherwise I would go for our big data situation in my region of the world. So there is something beautiful, an announcement, but that's an announcement, beautiful, in a communication from the Commission to the European Parliament. They say that they have the goal by 2025, so almost tomorrow, to ensure that citizens from all the member states are able to share the health data with healthcare providers and authorities of their choice. So if this was a fact, it would be beautiful. You could share for scientific reasons. And there is this very interesting concept of data altruism, corporate data altruism, individual data altruism. The idea that you should be able to share your data for altruist goals and not for commercial or for your own interest goals. So one of the ideas is to create at least one contact point for liaison between reusers and public sectors in each country of the European Union. But there are many legal and ethical aspects. You have the big problem of GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. And just for information, in China, for those who think, oh, let's use China or people, or countries where the legislation is softer, in China, they just adopted something sometimes literally copying the GDPR. So you have the problem of social acceptance. I will come back to this. I think the goal should be to focus on the ethical use of data to ensure that health data is used for health and research purposes and not for anything else. But even for this, now there are people against this. So, of course, your health data is sensitive. But your health data is less sensitive than your political life, than your sex life, that much of your private life, and that many things that you put online with Facebook, Twitter accounts, and so on, without asking you, well, is this dangerous or not? And there are less risk where the health system is public and when health data is not to be sold. And I will come back to this. Now, just two examples of two countries who are supposed to be beautiful. My country, you have a beautiful website where you can put all your health data. You have a beautiful website with all statistical information about, well, COVID-19 at the moment, of course, but many other things. So this is the theory, and this is the practical aspect. That's my own online medical file, and you cannot read it because it's too small. But it's written: toegang niet geopend door het ziekenhuis. What means in English, the access to this is not open by the hospital. So actually, I have about 10 pages of medical files, and most of these medical files are not accessible. That's the situation in Belgium. The situation in France, it's also beautiful. You have something called the Health Data Hub. English, all the rest is in French, but I translated one sentence there. The goal is to ensure easy, unified, transparent, and secure access to health data to improve the quality of care and support for patients, and also, of course, to improve science. Okay, but when you see the real thing, so that's the translation of one of the sentences that you have on the website. So don't worry, you don't understand, not because it is in French, but because it's full of abbreviations that nobody understands. And the important thing is the small one on the right side. So there were maybe about 1,000 scientist organizations asking to have access to the data, and there were 6 months ago only 8 studies approved. So incredible. all this health data and this big organization organized to make it possible for scientists to work on health data, it's not working. Well, by just one example, you need 3 authorizations actually with anonymized or pseudonymized health data to be able to use. So very, very complicated. One good example, really good example, is Finland, where there is this organization called FinData. So they promote secondary reuse of health and social data to facilitate, and they facilitate data processing and improving data protection for individuals. They have a system, I will come back to this, called opting out. If you don't want your health data to be used for scientific research, you can say it, and then they will not. The last time the woman in charge checked, well, 1 year ago, the last time I know that she checked, there were less than 1,000 people refusing for a country of about 5 million inhabitants. So this means, and this is important, actually, contrary to what many people say, most citizens, when they are asked implicitly or explicitly, do you want to share your health data for science, they will say yes. There's one less positive point is that access has to be paid, but as far as I know, it's not something absolutely expensive. Now I want to speak about the legal and de facto situation, actual situation in most countries of the world, and certainly in all European countries, because there the laws are the same. So in most countries, you are obliged, you don't have a choice to share health data. That's good, except that it's to share health data with private companies and with public institutions who are working like private companies. They are working really like private companies because also sometimes they are selling your health data after to private organizations and not giving the health data to other scientists and not even giving health data to yourself. By the way, in Belgium, but also in many other countries, you have theoretically the right to have all your information, but practically it's not working. In the US, I know it's an obligation to give files, but it's not working very good. In Belgium, there is not even this obligation, it can be on paper. So in many countries, you can theoretically access your data, but it is often difficult, partial, not reusable with other software, not reusable when you use other software than the original proprietary software, and this software you cannot buy it because it's very expensive. So your data is actually private data, but used by others than you. In most countries, most of the data can be used for research, but it's private property. It's only for a few, only on certain conditions. And in no country, you are allowed to be legally the sole owner of your own data. And in fact, you are not allowed to share it with scientists because of all regulation. Sharing would be unlawful, you know. You are allowed to binge drinking and smoke 50 cigarettes a day, but you are not allowed to take small risk or even no risk to share the data and to help science. Even, let's suppose that you are deciding to do it, scientists will have problems because they are not using it the right way. And even if scientists decide to use it, they will not be able to get an official publication, so it will not be well known. There are a few possible open solutions. Well, first one is to use public institutions like the WHO, like what's called in the European organizations, the health data space. There are, let's say, private altruist possibilities like international longevity organizations, like the International Longevity Alliance, other international altruist databases. There are also, let's say, technical ways. I will not have time to go in detail, but one is called SOLID. The idea of SOLID, created by one of the founders of the Internet, is to give to each person to each citizen of the world, a kind of private place, but where they can decide how to share it, how to store it, how to give access to it. And there is something very complicated to understand, at least for me. It's called federated learning, but what you have to understand is you have databases, And these databases, it is possible to access them, to have the information without really seeing what's in the databases. So actually, you can analyze data for scientific goals without really seeing the data. Don't ask me questions about this, please, because I don't understand it precisely, but there are many things online about this. A few legal and ethical aspects. First, there are one beautiful country, contrary to, let's say, what many people think. One beautiful country for collective work is, and civil servants is the US. In the US, a work of the US government, not only federal, not in all states, but there is no copyright protection. So that's why the beautiful pictures of the moon, for example, no rights on this. So this is beautiful. I think it should be always the same. It's for me a crazy situation that you have patents for people working with public money and after that selling their own things who are not available to everybody. So there's this principle of patent left. No patent should be a general principle, at least for work made with public money, to facilitate sharing of data, to avoid all the problems, well, not all the problems, let's be honest, to avoid many problems of trash in, trash out, to have the publication of negative results. That is very important because a company, let's say a company has a product, she thinks it's a good product, and they test and they say, oh no, it's not working. They are not going to publish it. It should be compulsory. And because research outside patentable fields is going very slow. There is the big example of metformin. Metformin is probably something prolonging slightly, well, slightly or not very, but the life extension in good health. But it's been years that near Barzilai and others are trying to test that on a large public, and they don't need so much money. They need, well, so much money, more than you and me have, but they need something like $30 million, and to test a new product, the cost in the US and in Belgium is more than, and in Europe is more than $1 billion. Okay, so there are a few questions. Do you own your own data, or is health data a common good? In my opinion, it should be more a common good, but I know that there are many good discussions of that. If you own your own data, you have less solidarity, but you will be more careful. If it is common good, it's less dangerous. You know, there are big problems also of crimes concerning big health data. Well, these crimes would still exist if the data was not worth money, because you could, let's say, try to make kind of a terrorism, but there would be less risk. At least there would be nobody trying to steal it. Well, almost nobody. I spoke already about the opting out, opting in solution. So opting in is a solution. You say that you want to share your health data. It's very complicated. Most people don't do it. So for me, it should be an opting out system. I spoke already about negative results, very, very important. And of course, we should use AI more than we are doing. We are doing it already a lot, but not enough, I think. We should use health data, and for me, that's fascinating. So there are beautiful progress, especially DeepMind for unfolding proteins. It's been in the press a few months ago. There is also in silico medicine they use, but still, when you Google something, when you use Google Translate or DeepL, even better, it's even correct your mistakes, okay? I want to live 200 years because at the end I will be able to speak English correctly. But okay, my English is not so bad, but with DeepL corrects my mistakes and even a few mistakes in French sometimes. But on the other side, the best AI in the world cannot yet considerably enhance your health. We also need, I will go very fast because I'm already 18 minutes later, so I have only 90 seconds in theory. We also, after that, of course, need clinical tests for longevity. It could be at the European level. The problem at the moment, problem number one, is it's called IRB in the US, clinical ethical authorization in other countries with other words, other names in other countries, but it's always very, very complicated. And an authorization is mostly valid only in one place. In Germany, for example, only in one state, like not in all Germany. So we need a paradigm shift, a moonshot Manhattan project with clinical trials, with double blind, because that's something many people forget. We need volunteers old enough, 70, 80, 95, even 99 for women, well informed enough, in good health, interested for themselves and for the community. That's a few of the things that we could test. Well, actually, except the last two ones, we cannot yet. Gene therapy is not yet there for, well, it's beginning, but it's not yet really there. It's beginning, and Liz Parish will speak about that. But there is no, let's say, gene therapy officially available yet, and what we don't know yet, of course. We need good biomarkers and public results before the treatment, during the treatment, after the treatment, and once again, if the treatment is not successful. For example, my organization, HEALS, we are giving money to test things on blood and old rats. If it is not successful, I want the results to be published, because it's to close doors, to avoid for other people to try again and lose time and money and energy. So under you see a few of the biomarkers, and I'm coming to the conclusion not so much later than foreseen. Well, I like to say that today is the nicest day of the history of humanity, but today is also the most dangerous day of the history of humanity. There are more scientists, more access to knowledge, more cooperation, more goodwill, more generosity, and less violence proportionally than ever in the history of the humanity. But there is also more bureaucracy and red tape than ever in the history. That's a crazy situation, and that's not only, it would be worth a discussion, but that's not only for civil servants, it's everywhere. Yeah. And what my conclusion now, final, real, is we need to create a system trusted, and please, after this, we will not have, I suppose, time for many questions, but don't hesitate to say, I disagree with this small piece, so that's why I cut it. We need to create a system trusted by citizens, managed by a public institution or a non-profit organization, where, with an opt-out system, all health data, anonymized or pseudonymized, can be used for scientific research and not for any other use, I mean in this context, of course, to start clinical tests, and at the end of the day, at the end of the, I don't know how many years, to enable everyone wishing it, to live a radically longer and healthier life. So that's it. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you for everybody, and more information there. You can subscribe to the newsletter, The Death of Death, La Mort de la Mort, like the same title as José. It's now available in 5 languages, Français, Netherlands, German, Dutch, Espanol, and of course English. And you can email me, especially if you disagree, but even if you agree. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jose. That was Didier, excuse me, very enlightening. I think we have time for one question. Yeah. Yes.
Thanks. Now, the question is there a measure in terms of contribution to average GDP per capita of having this? Have you seen anything that transfers having this amount of information, mining this amount of information, well-being, and quality of life to GDP per capita, something that actually measures specifically in numbers, so the math doesn't lie, and we can actually test that your hypothesis makes sense? Thank you.
At least for the end of your question, there was recently an article I don't know by heart which one, but I will send you the information after, about how much 1 year of healthy life extension, how much is the benefit for the society, and how much, if it was that your question, a relation to how much it is going to cost and to, let's say, big health data and so on, I don't see directly, no. But
basically these data being released in a mass market mode, basically by people. I don't think this will become something that will come from pharma companies or from governments, mostly from grassroots. But I may be wrong. So,
well, I mean. We all know that the fact that we die of old age is very costly. We also know by statistics that the most costly years are the last years of the life. The 5 last year, the 2 last year, the last year, the 6 last months. So each time you have longer life expectancy in good health, you have kind of a benefit for the society. So, and there is a lot of available money for research at the moment already. The biggest problem, in my opinion, well, and in the opinion of many longevists, the big opinion is that you need this paradigm shift, that you understand that aging and the process around senescence, that it's causing almost all diseases. You know, it's important to know, for example, let's imagine that senescence, aging, does not exist anymore. The life expectancy today of a young woman in Spain would be more than 1,000 years. I say a young woman because young men tend to take more risks, so it would be probably 500 years. But I mean, we die only of old age. The last years of our life are the most costly, so there is an immense amount of money to be win each time that we win. So yeah, and there are concerning scientific research, you have enormous amount of money used at the moment, but like I said, this enormous amount at the moment is for, let's say, I would almost say bureaucratic aspects. So one new drug, $1 or $2 or even more $billion to have it on the market at the moment, and it's not working a lot more efficient than before. This is really there is this false idea that when you go slowly, you go better, and it's not true. Okay.
Didier, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Didier Coeurnelle from HEALS, the Healthy Life Extension Society.
you.